Lloyd, you're here, buddy, right?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, Lloyd, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to be on today, guys.
Absolutely. Glad to have you, man. We keep getting so many people messaging me about YouTube ads, and I only do the basics, right? I run them for like retargeting and stuff like that for lead gen, but I never do them for client-based stuff. So excited
Mhm.
to have you here. I'm just gonna get started, guys. There's a bunch of people coming in still, but Lloyd, just kind of go through your background and fill us in on what you do, where you're at, all that stuff.
Yeah, pleasure to be here today, guys. My name's Lloyd Dodgen. I run a YouTube advertising agency called the YouTube Ads Guy. Pretty on the nose, I know. Um, so I specialize. I like Rob was talking about. All these platforms are so freaking huge that eventually you just kind of have to specialize on what it is that you specialize on. And I used to be one of those agencies that ran everything, early 2018. And then around 2019, I had a conversation with Billy Genius Marketing.
Oh yeah,
I,
he's a big
I was
dude.
doing DoorDash at the time and building my agency, and I delivered food to him. And I was starting to get some results with YouTube ads for a real estate company, getting them visibility on some of their $30 million homes. And one of them actually ended up selling. And I was like, I kind of like this YouTube ads thing better than I like Facebook ads. And he kind of just told me, he's like, go all in, be the YouTube ads guy, and you'll never look back. And that was kind of, the precursor to just being like, let's start shutting everything down and going all in on being an expert. Since then, I have run ads for multiple two Comma Club award winners, two Comma Club X award winners, ranging from real estate to Botox injections to accounting. I run the gambit of YouTube ads for Inc. 500 real estate brokers in the nation. You name it. Like earlier this year, or not this year, earlier last year, we ran several $1 million for an Ozempic company.
Oh, I bet
Um,
that did really well.
it crushed.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So this is something that I've kind of just I've gone all in on, and yeah, I'm happy to be here to just to answer any questions, give any advice that I
Excellent.
can, and just share my expertise.
Perfect. So I got a couple questions. I'm going to start just like I'm 5 years old. I don't understand anything. Okay. So just kind of bear with me here. I'm going to walk through. You don't have to just be as detailed as you can. I know it's hard because it's so nuanced, YouTube ads, but I kind of been just hitting the high level stuff. So basically, a lot of what you do is lead generation, right? Not really
Yeah,
e-commerce.
everything. What I focus on is lead generation at its very core.
Okay, perfect.
And then as
So
long as their systems and funnels work and we're able to attribute people at the right time and the right place, eventually,
yeah,
given the numbers, you start leading into sales. But yes, by
perfect.
the primary, we it's a lead generation agency that just focuses on YouTube ads.
So Lloyd, take me through a brand new campaign set up in YouTube for lead. Let's say it's for our guys on this call who have an agency and they want to generate leads for agency. How
Mhm.
long should they typically expect before they start seeing results?
So
If
right
everything's done
now,
correctly.
yeah, right now you need to look at things from two perspectives. One, there's a 14-day window that Google has for letting things learn and cook so that they
Yep.
figure out your audience. And then there's the other window of the necessary amount of conversions to get at a limited learning, which I believe is what is it right now, like 100 or 200 conversions a month to get out of
For
limited learning.
YouTube ads, I'm not sure. For Google ads, they want at least 25. I know that.
Yeah. So as long as we're that's per week,
That was just a month
that's
for
my
max
yeah. I
conversions.
mean, their
Yeah.
numbers are always changing. So YouTube is the same. So basically, as long as we're able to focus on a specific conversion that is able to exceed that window, we get out of limited learning, and then after 14 days, we should be able to Google should be able to start to hone down what it is that we are actually like trying to target.
Yep.
Um, Ideally, in my opinion, you should start seeing your ads work within 3 days. Like
Yeah.
you should start seeing leads
Something should
come
start
in
happening.
as long as you know your KPIs, and that's probably one of the most important things when you're running ads. And I think anybody that's on this call, you're knowing your numbers is one of the most crucial things, and then having parameters around those KPIs is important. So if you know that you're like, hey, I'm doing a PPL agency and I have to hit $50 per lead, all of a sudden we're at $75 per lead at 1.5x of that, I'm probably going to need to start shutting this down pretty soon. But yeah, within 3 days, and then within 14 days, Google kind of really solidifies the campaign itself to figure out who your audience is.
Awesome. Excellent tip, man. All right, so moving on then, I got next here. Let's see. How much should a business expect to spend when starting YouTube ads to generate leads? Like, what kind of
So,
budget should you really start with without going crazy?
so in my opinion, Facebook is a place for basically testing your offer, and YouTube is a place for scaling your offer.
Yep.
So ideally, if you're running, so we run clients that have like a $10,000 offer. Like we actually have one client right now that they have a legal offer that's for $30,000. When they came to me, they're like, we want to spend $4,000. And I'm like, that's cool, but
Yeah.
it's probably going to take us 3 months before we get our first sale then.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
in all reality, there's kind of the two generic things that a lot of people say. One, how much are you willing to spend without worrying about that money so that you can gather data and understand how your cold ads are working in relationship to your offer and
How much
funnel?
are you willing to lose, essentially?
Yeah. And then the other one is I believe that you should be able to spend as much as your offer is. So if you have a $5,000 offer, ideally you should be okay spending $5,000 for the testing, and within that $5,000, you should be able to break even.
Yeah.
Like
Perfect.
if your creative is good and your targeting is decent,
Yeah.
mostly if your creative is solid, and then the rest of the offer there's no bottlenecks along the way. In that spend, you should be able to close at least one deal and break even, which is the most ideal situation for month one for anybody doing.
Absolutely. Definitely. 100%. And that goes pretty much for any advertising platform, right? If you're trying to get clients with ads, if I break even on month one, I'm great because got all the data now and I figured out what works, what doesn't work. And the next month we can tweak and tune. So I love
Yeah,
it. That's
because then
perfect.
you get to kill campaigns that didn't work.
Yep.
You get to scale the ones that are working. You get to go and break down the keywords and other things that you may have been doing and break that up to see which one is going to be the most optimal.
Yeah.
And then you get to reiterate on the hooks that are working.
Awesome. I
But
love it.
those are things we can talk about over throughout the call.
For sure. So when it comes to like the actual videos you're running, the video creatives, I assume these are well thought out, scripted
Yeah.
videos with like a natural approach to them. So it's not very like
A
stiff,
lot of it we
robotic,
do
and
direct response copywriting. So we're
nice.
speaking directly to our audience. In those first 3 to 5 seconds, you not only have to gather attention, at which attention can be gathered in multitude of ways, but you have to gather the right attention, and you have to be able to speak to the person that you want to speak to, because we're not using ad copy like we are on Facebook. So they can't just read and be like, okay, this is for real estate agents. If we're not telling them that we're talking to a real estate agent within that time frame, there's a good chance they're going to watch their cat video.
Yeah.
So we have to say something that is unique. We have to say something that is compelling, and we have to say something that is meaningful to the person that's watching. So it's like the very first thing that you say is the utmost importance.
Yeah. So essentially, and this goes for YouTube as well, right? When you're doing your organic
Yeah,
YouTube videos, it's all about the hook in the first 3 seconds, why you got
it's
to pay
exactly
attention, what you're going to learn, what you gain by watching this, all that good stuff. So it's the same thing, but,
same
different.
kind of concepts, just with a little bit more trimmed and a little bit more focused.
Yeah.
Because the call to action is different. In the organic video, the call to action is continue watching my video. Please don't go anywhere else. Instead, this is watch it so that I can get you to take the next action, which is to click.
Yeah. So Bronson actually just dropped a question here. He said, are you running YouTube ads to get clients for your agency? What would be the strategy for an agency to generate clients?
I would be running Facebook ads right now to get clients for B2B. So one fault of YouTube ads is it is not the best for B2B.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of the targeting that you can get in Facebook for B2B is much more sophisticated because they know that they know the profile that everybody, like if I'm coming in, I'm telling them I'm a lawyer, I'm telling them, I'm married, and
Yeah.
Google has tons of information. Don't get me twisted on that. Google has more information than is absolutely necessary. They are big brother in and of itself. But when it comes to broad B2C audiences, YouTube crushes every single time. When it comes to smaller TAMs, total addressable market,
Yep.
how many lawyers are in a specific city, in a specific zip code? There's a lot less than just people that are looking for fitness.
Yeah.
So B2B is a little bit harder. So initially, I would be testing out my offers on Facebook and making sure that my client acquisition strategy is crushing there before I start looking to scale that with YouTube ads.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Great. That's well explained. Another one, Sal, how much would you spend per day on Facebook ads to get agency clients if the goal is 3 to 5 potential clients per month?
Right now, from what I see with the current metrics, it's about you can bank on about $100 per book call, 100
Yeah.
to $200 per
That's
book call.
exactly what we see in our agency with Facebook
Yeah,
ads. About
and
80 to
so
100 bucks a
now
call.
now it's a question of what is your show up rate?
Hmm.
If you're 60%, which is ideally where you should be at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So every 10 calls, you get 6 people on. And then what is your close rate? 20%. So you're 20% of those 6 people, you're getting 3 people to say, or 2 people to say yes. So, or like 1.2 people. So one person at least to say yes out of those 6. So it took you 10 calls. That's 1,000 people. So $1,000 for those book calls. So probably about $1,000, for the month.
Yep.
But really, it's about it's really about just making sure that you've got your book call rate and your show up rate and everything else. So
It's so important. And I feel like a lot of people who are new, a lot of you guys on here you've been agency owners for a while. So you get this stuff. Evan, I know you get this stuff big time. You got to know your numbers. Everybody
yeah,
you got to know all of that stuff because it's the only way you're going to be able to grow and set up scalable shit.
yeah, man,
So,
seriously, it is, and the thing is no one knows their numbers in the beginning.
no.
But they have to base it off of what are the current agency metrics that currently exist in the market, and then start reverse engineering from there and working from the beginning, from the left side of the funnel to the right side of the funnel. The
Yeah.
left side of the funnel is starting with your impressions and your cost per impression to the cost that you're getting. Ideally, when I talk about with YouTube ads, I'm looking at my views, how much I'm spending, my clicks, how much I'm spending per click, what my click through rate is, and I'm moving along this progression of then what's my opt in rate. And as I'm optimizing all these little things along the way, opt in rate, book call rate, show up rate,
Yep.
close rate, and then churn rate, because that's something that no one else thinks about there. Like, how long are these people
So
actually staying
important,
with you?
man. So important.
Yeah.
Because it's funny, we touched on this on previous roundtables in the past, but I've been agency owner for 10 years now, and my partner Ed is always the guy who's like, look at the math, look at the churn rate, the number's the same, and I'm like, we used to go off of like emotional fucking roller coaster. Somebody leaves, I'm like, oh great, 2 people left today, but you look at the math, the numbers are always steady, they're always the same. So it's
Yeah,
important that
you are always going to lose them at that point. There's
yes,
in the agency world has become more cutthroat than ever, and there's a clock. I've had
yeah,
clients where we are crushing it. We got them to $1 million run rate with barely any ad spend,
mhm,
and they're like, Lloyd, I'm thinking about taking what we're paying you and just trying it on Facebook. And
yeah,
I'm like, what? You
yeah.
got $1 million on the pipeline and you want to just walk away from me helping you out? So like,
It makes no sense.
it's just part of it though. It's just part of the game that we
It
play.
it happens to us all the time. People want to take it in house, and they come back in 3 months, like, please, 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 we need to come back, please. I'm like,
I've
no,
had clients come
you're
back
out.
three times, man, like trying to, and
Yeah,
every time I'm like, well, our rates went up.
yeah, no, and it's especially with inflation and stuff, like the shit is going up. So guess what? If you're gonna leave now, your locked in rate that's changing when you come back in 3 months. It
Yeah.
is what it is. So one thing I do want to ask you, Fessel, I'm gonna get to your question, buddy. Just give me a minute. Is the creatives? Are you doing like the raw like from like taken from a cell phone type creatives, or are you doing like high production
It
creatives?
depends on what type of audience we're trying to attract. So, like, I have one client, like I'm talking about, we're targeting lawyers that are wanting to grow their law firm. We got to be professional.
Yeah,
Like, there's no like hoity-toity. These guys have a different like viewpoint, but I've done a ton where we have worked with it. You got to figure out the setting that makes the most sense for the audience. We had a medical professional that was doing Botox injections. So we had him in kind of like a podcast studio for like the way he was filming with skulls and other medical,
Oh,
equipment
nice.
around him. Um, and then we've had guys that are in the fitness space, or talk people like we've had guys that are talking about Amazon FBA, and their whole mission is to help other families basically become free
Yeah.
financially by building their own Amazon business the way they do it. And where are they doing it? They're walking around their house, their kids crying, they're living life. So it's the relational aspect of the video itself.
Yeah.
Everybody probably knows about the parasocial relationship. I think everybody in marketing, we talk about it so much. Video is the place where you're able to increase that parasocial relationship more. So you've
Absolutely.
got to think, what am I doing to connect with that person? Like, what is that person really looking for? Are they looking for, the Ritz? Or are they looking just to enjoy a normal life on the beach? Are they
It te-
looking to be with their family?
yep.
Like, are they looking to be outdoors? Like, what is it that they're looking for? And then
It
kind of figure it out there.
it really
Cell phone
ties.
ads work, though. Cell phone
Yeah.
ads do work.
I would imagine it's niche dependent.
It is.
But a lot of this too ties back to knowing who your customer avatar is, right? And that's going to change based on who you're targeting.
And I will say this too for anybody out there: GoPro or try a cell phone and split test the ads.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. Like we also kind of also like sometimes as marketers, we have an Achilles heel, which is our hubris, thinking we know exactly what this audience is going to want.
Mhm.
And sometimes I am shocked as to how little I know when I just try something else out there. I'm like, this will never work. And then
I
all of a sudden
know.
I'm like, God, this is crushing.
I have a policy in our agency too where like we don't mess with our landing pages. We already know what works. We have what works. And sometimes if we get begged enough, I'll cave and I'll test something different. And I'm always like, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. And then every now and then I get surprised. It
Exactly.
does better, and
I'm
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 like, oh
always
shit,
I'm
I'm putting that in
always
the vault.
willing I'm always willing to test something else out and test a different angle. And that's the cool part too. Like once you figure, I talked about this earlier, when you find a YouTube ad that is working, that YouTube ad has a great longevity compared to Facebook. That YouTube ad, I've had YouTube ads where I've left a campaign running for 2 years,
Amazing.
never touched it, and just done other stuff. But that one campaign just continued to crush because that creative just hits.
Yeah.
And then what we end up doing is we just end up testing different variations of that same creative. So like
So
I'll
the
take I'll
optimization,
take that same script and I will try a different way of instead of sitting in the office, maybe moving around.
yeah,
Or I'll take it and maybe take that same video and do it in black and white or with a newspaper article in the very beginning, which is also something that can work out, to
yeah,
relate to well. So there's
awesome,
just different ways that you can take it once you figure out what works.
very cool. So essentially, then all of the optimization of YouTube ads is just creative testing,
A majority of the optimization is creative testing. Yeah.
audiences and creative testing.
Yeah.
Cool. So Fessel dropped one in here. He says, "How does your onboarding structure look like from the client their signing a contract to their campaign getting launched?" I guess he means time frame wise, what that looks like.
Yeah.
And he
14
also
days.
said 14 days. He
Yeah,
said, "What do you
14. So
think?"
it all depends on the I got to get the client to buy in. That's one big deal. So when it comes to getting clients to record ads, sometimes they're scared and I have to walk them through the process. But ideally we're getting them in a 14-day window. So they
That includes
they
filming all the creatives and all that stuff, right?
they
That's why
are.
it's yeah,
They are. So we're going about our research. Once the client is onboarded and they're working with us, we have them fill out an avatar deep dive and an offer deep dive. I have them basically do that before we have our launch call. So they sign, we have our launch call in less than 48 hours. We're reviewing that. We're going deep into that, making sure to pull all the information out of it. I'm also pulling out any drives that they have with creatives that they've already tested, any testimonials that they've already recorded. I'm also getting a list of all of their customers and permission to go and reach out and send email forms for them to survey them via the
very
company
cool.
itself. So we're trying to pull out what language are they repeating again and again? Why did they choose us? Why did they not choose another person? Those kinds of things are really important when you're figuring out like why this offer works. And so I'm going deep into understanding what's out there, and then I go and start looking at what's the competitive landscape, And Google is doing a really good job these days with Google Ads transparency. They just built it out. There's also things like VidTow. There's also things like Video Ad Vault that Justin Sardi has,
Yep.
which I think is a great platform, where you can just type in a keyword and then see what other YouTube ads are out there, and then be able to look at their funnels. So same
It's
way
the
you can
same the
reverse
same
it.
thing as
Same,
Facebook.
yeah,
Yep.
same way you can do that. But YouTube ads are they're just much harder to go find.
Hmm.
One other thing that I do, and this is kind of ninja, is go and create a new account in incognito, and go like a new Google account in incognito, and go and start typing in the keywords and the searches and the websites, and watch the YouTube videos that you think that person would be doing, and you'd be surprised how YouTube starts basically cultivating all the ads necessary that are related to that. And
Yeah.
then you can go and use things like Video Ad Vault to go and save those video ads themselves. There's a tool that I use as well. I will find it out later. I'll send that later in the group.
Yeah,
But
just
it's
drop it in a
basically,
post.
yeah, it basically will completely auto transcribe the video in like immediately in the banner, and then you can copy and paste out to ChatGPT to review.
Nice. Awesome.
But yeah, so I digress. So once we have an understanding of the avatar, the competitor landscape, and everything, we start writing out their scripts, because everything else we're going to do in the background of setting up conversions and setting up tracking and all the other stuff that's in the background.
Yep.
And we have a script framework, and really, like any script framework, still follows the same pattern: hook, story, offer. You want to
Yeah.
do something, you want to be able to hook them in, you want to be able to have some sort of soft call to action, you want to be able to let them overcome the three necessary objections: internal, external, vehicle objections. And then you want to have another call to action, continue to just drive the point home, have more call to
Yeah.
actions, at least 3 to 4 call to actions per video. And
What's
your video
the
your video ad shouldn't
Hormozy
be any more than 3 minutes.
the Hormozy, what was it? Hook, retain, reward. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just said it his own way, but like hook, retain, reward. Exactly. Like we want to hook them in, we want to keep their attention, and then we
Mhm.
want to reward them for keeping that attention.
Yep.
And
Very
ideally,
cool.
the only thing you're not selling in your video ad. A lot of people make this one mistake. You're not selling them as like, why I'm the best person for this, and I did all these things, and I did all these things. No one cares about you.
Nope.
They do care that someone that is like them got through a problem that they're experiencing, and if they click on the thing, they should be able to get some step towards a resolution of whatever it is that they're trying to solve.
Absolutely.
People are on YouTube for one of two reasons: to get entertained or to get educated. And so most of the time, in those times, they're trying to get educated to resolve a problem, to move away from pain and towards pleasure.
And this
And
is
so
why it's so important to test your offers too, guys. And that if you get an offer that works, you can really put it anywhere and it's going to work.
yeah, because the audience is still the audience, and now you just kind of
Exactly.
figure out how you're gonna say it to them. Um,
So are you
so
running PMax for these or are you running demand gen? This
I'm
is
running
Russell.
I'm running YouTube ads.
Just straight
Yeah.
YouTube ads.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean I run PMax for shopping, big shopping campaigns.
Yeah.
I am running demand gen now, but so we'll get back to just what I was saying. So once I have the scripts written, I then hand over. We have a review day. We review the scripts. We make sure they feel comfortable with them. I will sometimes sit on a Zoom call with them while they're recording and kind of coach them through the process, depending on like how I think they feel on camera. Usually, if somebody's got YouTube videos, I can measure out. I can determine whether they suck on camera or not.
Yeah.
And then once they record them, I send them to my editor. My editor goes about his process, crushes it. We then start launching our campaigns, and ideally, within 14 days, we are launched. Now, sometimes that might be too tight of a window, especially when you don't like you're starting this at the beginning. So I would say tell your clients at least 21 days. That's what I used to do in the beginning. It was a 21-day window. It's a much longer window to get YouTube ads up than it is to get Facebook ads up.
Well, a lot goes into it.
A lot goes into it. There's
Yeah.
the creative process and the research and the scripting and everything, like, and then the recording and the editing. Like it's
The client alone being designated a job to do, and
yes, and
for
we
them
all
to get
know
that
how
done,
we
and
all
then,
know when we tell our client to go do something, how they just somehow don't go and do it. Now, there
Yeah.
are workarounds around this. If you have a client that's like, "Hey, I don't have time, I don't have energy, and I have all these things," you can record them yourself. You can get on camera, you could read your own scripts, you could do the editing, and you could test out that messaging because no one cares that it's your face right now. As long as like everything isn't primarily driven through their face, where they're like it has to be their face and they're the complete egoist.
Yeah.
We have UCG ads for a reason. We have other people saying the same thing to still get clicks. It happens all the time. So you can be the UCG for your own YouTube ad for your clients that you're working with and test out your scripts and then go, hey, this script is working. Go record this now, Jeff.
I love it. So before we continue, we got like 15 minutes left, something like that. Do any of you guys have questions for Lloyd before I move on? Because he just dropped a ton of knowledge bombs. Is everybody good? You want to move on?
I got a quick question real quick if I could.
Shoot.
Yeah, hey, what's up, Lloyd?
What's up,
Thanks for all
Justin?
the info, man. Super helpful. I wanted to ask, what kind of landing page software are you using, or is the customer doing that, or are you guys setting that up?
We're using theirs and we're getting access as a sub-user account. Most of the time they're using GHL or ClickFunnels.
Yep.
I
Seems to
would
be the
avoid things
popular.
like WordPress just because you need things with speed. Because even a 2 second latency, you'll see a page view drop or a page receive and drop. Like you don't want to be below 84% because then
Yeah,
you're just burning cash.
yeah, totally get it, man. Rob's like preach. Rob's always talking about that. Like, get
Yeah,
all over that shit.
and that could be something too as a lead magnet. Like when you're trying to talk to a new client, you're like, hey, like your page view speed via Google is showing this, and we could optimize that, to basically, and that would, and I have calculators where I'm like, if we increase your how many people get on your page by this much, then you're going to see this much of an increase just by doing this one stupid thing.
Yep, that's awesome. Yeah, because you're giving them the facts like straight up. Like, you need to do this because you're going to get X amount of more return because of
Yep.
that.
Knowing
Yeah,
your
yeah.
numbers, homie.
There's
Yep.
exactly calculators are your best friend, especially on
Oh,
a Google sheet.
hell yeah. Right on. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
But I know everybody's talked about like Performance Max and Demand Gen. I've used Performance Max. Performance Max, you need big budgets.
Yep.
Like you need to be spending like $1,500 a day on that one campaign, and everything is put into that campaign. It's kind of like they're all one and done campaign for everything that gets put in there. It's testing
Yep.
everything
Omnipresent. Yeah.
under yeah. It's complete omnipresence. That I was doing when we were spending with the Ozempic business. Now Demand Gen, yeah. Everybody that wants to test YouTube ads, you're going to have to do Demand Gen now because YouTube ads is going to be switching to Demand Gen. It's going to be built inside there from starting in March. So
Yeah.
I'm already building out Demand Gen campaigns for clients.
Yeah. I'm not surprised, man. They're gonna keep moving. They're gonna keep shifting goalposts and stuff like that. They keep changing
Yeah,
Google ads too. All in all, I think it's only gonna get easier in the future. I'm optimistic about it. Some people
it's
are
going to allow
not.
more people to remove that barrier to entry, and that
Yep.
barrier to entry means more competition, which means higher CPMs.
Yes. Yep. It's got to be more clever, be a better marketer. That's all.
Exactly. And once again, where the cleverness is not in the levers you pull on the back end, guys. The cleverness is in the way that you create your copy. It's
Yep.
in the creative that you have. That is where you will always have your edge above everybody else. And it's in testing new copy. Like it's
Offer
it's
creation.
it's it's primarily going to be there from now on.
Yeah. And
AI can never replace that until, it can.
I'm a firm believer too that Alex Hormozi $100 million offer is like fucked up 2024. Like everyone just came out with all these insane, crazy offers.
Everybody and their
And they're
mother
all
was
saying the
like,
same thing. They're
we
following the same
guarantee
framework. Yeah. Or I'll give you $10,000. It was just like, come on, man. Like, get out of here. And then these people
if
flame
your
out.
offer doesn't work, I'll be your best friend
Yeah.
the rest of your life.
It gets crazy. It was a wild, it was like the Wild West there for a little bit. I feel like it calmed down now, finally.
Yeah.
But
But so far, running demand gen is it seems very straightforward. I still have a lot of things to go figure out there. So for anybody that's still running YouTube ads, and I don't believe that YouTube ads are just going to disappear from a technical standpoint. So you at least have this. Google ads, we can put a lot of ad groups within a Google ad, a PPC ad. YouTube ads, we want one ad group because it doesn't do a good job at CBO. It doesn't know how to just like ideally say we're going to spend $10 on this targeting, $10 on this targeting, $10
yeah.
on this targeting. So you're doing one campaign with one ad group with 3 to 5 ads that you're
Yep.
testing. No more than 3 to 5 ads, because you want to remove the nuance. And it's either in that campaign, you're either testing in the beginning your targeting, or you're really testing the creative. So you just got to figure out what it is that what lever you're trying to pull.
Yeah.
When you're creating your campaigns, if you have an audience or a customer that has a YouTube channel, you should be doing warm retargeting to that YouTube channel. If they have website traffic, once you've connected that, you should be doing warm retargeting to that. You should also be doing branded ads to their name. Anybody, if they have a big name, and you can track that, you want to do that. And then the other campaigns that you'll be running in the very beginning are your direct how-to campaigns. How do I do this? How to do this that's related. Then you're going to want your keywords that are a little bit more specific, like depending on like your offer. Like somebody may be looking like literally like how to make money online versus how to make money online with Amazon. You know, so it just depends on the specificity that you're going to do. But yeah, you want to start having like you're going to have like 5 campaigns in the very beginning of your stuff, and you could probably be running like $25 to $50 per campaign to test with those 5 campaigns when you're running out. So you've got a couple of your warm, and then you've got your specific keyword centric cold campaigns. And one thing to always take into consideration is that you want to group up themes with your keywords. You just don't want to be blasting, 7,500 keywords into one and they have no connection to each other. they need to correlate. So like when we are doing this lawyer, we have campaigns that are SEO for lawyers, Facebook ads for lawyers, Google ads for lawyers, YouTube ads for lawyers, and we have the variations that exist. And in that custom, you're going to be creating what's called a custom segment audience. I know I'm blasting you guys with a fire hose right now before the call's over. You're going to want no more than 15 keywords in that custom segment audience.
So essentially, a segment audience is kind of like an ad group for Google Ads, right? It's just a tightly themed keywords.
Yeah. So it's like that's the targeting that you'll create the segment, and that segment lives in the ad group itself. Like you'll draw it in there as the audience that you're trying to build, and you want no more than 15 keywords that are tightly related to each other.
Yeah. And you would suggest if anyone out here is going to start doing YouTube ads, the time is to do demand gen now, is because that's where it's all going.
I would say just bite the bullet and start doing demand gen. I am still testing out what proper structure looks like with demand gen right now because it's still brand new.
Yeah.
I'm testing out where I have one single target, and I'm testing out like I would do with PMAX where I've got the gambit of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm testing out like several variations to figure out like what's working, what's not working.
Gotcha. Love it. There was a question here from Sal before we bounce. How much retainer do you normally charge lead gen clients for? Do you mean to say Google ads or is that YouTube ads, Sal? I would assume YouTube ads.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Same thing.
Same thing.
So yeah, I charge $5,000 per month with 10% of ad spend. So
Nice.
It's either or. So once we hit $50,000 in ad spend, we start leaning into growing with them.
Percentage, yeah.
Yeah, percentage of ad spend after. But yeah, initially I charge $5,000 upfront.
Very
month.
cool. So what's your agency strategy to get clients to run YouTube ads? Because you got a lot of big clients that are spenders.
Yeah, so I have done a very good job at networking and building relationships with a lot of people. I literally have a chat called Lloyd's Homies in Telegram that has 50 top tier agency owners out there. So
Awesome.
I'm always networking. Nothing held back. Job boards, like any job board out there, is a good place to try to do that. Direct cold message DM, people don't like to do it, but if you do the numbers long enough,
yeah, it works, man.
like you'll see the trickle down effect over time if you're doing proper follow up. Depending on the clientele, like if like I'm kind of moving away from working with high ticket coaches, just because I see the writing on the wall.
It's very saturated too.
It's very saturated. It's very messy. They expect the world, even though their business is probably going to die in like 2 more years.
Yeah.
So I'm shifting my model slightly to probably more like a PPL structure for anybody that's pay per lead. Still in the beginning test. I don't know if that's going to be the way I'm going to go, but I'm testing that out right now. Cold calls work all the time. There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. If anybody is a big fan of Alex Hermosi, just go through the core 4.
Yep.
And do that every day. Do your 100 every day.
It works, man. It works.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
follow this
It's
kid who's following the book, right? And he's documenting his journey on Instagram. I forget his name. I'll look it up and drop it in there too for you guys. But
yeah,
it works, man. He's like getting clients and he's just doing nothing except what is in the book, exactly
yeah.
by the book. It's crazy.
And if you don't want to read the book, Alex has done a great job at creating his video course. So he's got his new scaling course, which I love. The scaling course. It basically depends
Yep.
on where you are at stage 0 to stage 9 and
Yeah,
what
it's
you
really
should be
cool.
doing in that stage.
Very cool. So I am locally in a network group. I'm pretty good at money. Yeah, just network, my man. That's all you got to do. The core four, you got to read the 100 million
Yeah,
lead
it's
book.
the core 4 is just warm outreach, cold outreach, free
Yeah,
content posted, run paid
affiliates.
ads. You basically get to choose what of the core 4. You're either going one to one, one to many, you
So
know.
Lloyd, we got 2 minutes left. Takeaways and how can people reach out to you, ask for help, or do you have any courses or anything like that? Anything
Yeah,
where
so
we can people
I'm
can learn
actually in the
more?
process of recording some deep dive of how to like run YouTube ads from soup to nuts, and especially with the shift in demand gen. I'm dropping my link here for my Calendly link. If you guys just have questions and you want to hop on a call and you're like, I'm curious on how we do this with YouTube ads, I'm more than happy to get on a strategy call with you guys. So.
You're right, Sal. I should move to Google Meets, but I'm cheap, so I don't do that. Maybe in the future I'll buy an upgraded Zoom. Right now it's 40 minutes. All
Yeah,
right,
I use Google Meet because it's just less of a resource hog,
it really
and I'm cheap like
fucking
that.
hate
No,
Zoom. Yeah.
I hate Zoom
Um.
too.
All right, guys, we
Yeah,
got a minute left. Do you have anything else for Lloyd before that we can touch on quickly? If not, I'm gonna end it here.
Lloyd, how long have you been doing YouTube ads for?
over 5 years since
Wow,
2019.
since 2019. That's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Sweet.
it's fun, guys. I mean, just find a craft and master it. I don't, and if
That's it.
it's always going to make money, find a craft, find something you like, and just go all in on it.
That's
That's
what
what
I
I
did,
do.
man. Google Ads. That's it.
Yeah, and it's
YouTube
like
ads.
there's plenty. I mean, just you could just focus on Google Ads and be the king.
It's great. It's good to be the king. All right, guys. Everyone have a great weekend. Lloyd, thank you so much, man. This was like really fucking informative. It was awesome. So I'm gonna chop this up and put it on YouTube, and I'll get that post up in the group. Wait, what was I gonna post now? I forget. It was in the beginning of the call. I'll rewatch the video. I don't know.
Armando is going to be
Armando,
the
yes, Facebook ads
yeah.
course. All right, I will
And
get that up in the next 10 minutes for you guys. All right.
3,
Thanks
2,
so much.
1.
Thanks, guys.
All
Later.
right. Have a good
Thanks,
weekend,
guys.
guys.
Lloyd.
Thanks,
Rob.
Lloyd. Bye.